It's about this woman that's very unhinged. Now she lives somewhere in Alaska. I don't know, somewhere in Alaska, like a remote cabin in this area with a lot of snow. It's a very snowy place. And then there's this writer called Paul Sheldon. He gets trapped in a snowstorm when he's on his way back home because he was writing a book. He finished writing his new book, Misery, and he's traveling back to the cabin. And there's a snowstorm, and then his car gets trapped. And then Annie Wilkes, she's the protagonist. She basically rescues him in a snowstorm, and that's the first chapter. I watched the movie first, which is made in 1990, and the book is like 1987. And I'm reading through the chapters in the book. I mean, I'm listening to the chapters in the book because I listened to it on the audiobook. And it's so much more gruesome. Like number one, for example, these are going to be spoilers. So if you're watching right now, you should probably click off if you want to watch and read the book. But the one thing that I found super depressing was like when it was in chapter, it was in the later chapters, somewhere around 8 or 9. There's a hobbling scene, not 8, I think maybe 7, but there's a hobbling scene in the show in the audiobook. I'm not sure, but that's like chapter 7 or something in the audiobook on Audible. I'm listening to it, and she ends up hobbling him because she finds out that he leaves the room because there's this figurine. Like he would keep plotting to try to kill her because that was the only way he was gonna survive. Like as the book goes further and further, he starts asking her questions like, why don't I go to hospital, or why am I here? And then as time goes by, he starts to realize that like he's trapped here. He's not coming out. Like he's trapped. Which, I mean, being trapped in a fucking cabin in the middle of nowhere, like there's not many houses around. Like this is a remote cabin. She's also a nurse, so she knows how to use drugs to make him immobile. It was like hell, really. And he wanted to die. And he just prayed to God everything he was having. And then in chapter 3, that was like, well, I think it's chapter 2 or 3. And then she finds out, she's reading one of the books, the book that he, like, you know how I mentioned he was writing a book called Misery when he was traveling back from the hotel to his house, and he gets trapped in that snowstorm. She finds his manuscript, that's the Misery book that he was writing, and he finishes it. But then the character Misery, he kills her because he wants to move on and make another book. Like he wanted to move on from that chapter in his life. Essentially, he ends up killing the character in the book, and then he ends up he kills the character in the book so that he can conclude the chapter and move on and make another book, which the editor didn't like because she thought it was a moneymaker, and a lot of the audience loved the character Misery, and Annie also did as well. That was her favorite book. And then he ends up killing her character. She ends up reading that book because he gave it to her as a reward for saving his life. She ends up reading the book, and then at the end of the chapter, she reads all of it, and then she comes into his room and starts screaming her head off. You killed her! You killed my Misery! You killed my Misery! You dirty birdie! And then she says like all these little things like innuendos and stuff. Like she's like this dominant goddess. Like he keeps calling her a goddess. I think there's a bit of Stockholm syndrome as well. There's his grapple with addiction. There's his grapple with cigarette smoking and nicotine addiction. His grappling with writing books and his lifestyle. Like he's kind of just like everything that he's thinking about. Like it's kind of like bringing him back to his younger years, and he's just thinking about how everything panned out to the way it was, and like it's a whirlwind of emotions, like different emotions every time. And then there's the chapter where I think this is like super interesting as well. Like the chapter when he finds a way out of the room initially. That's the first. I think there's like he initially finds his way out of the room while she's gone. Like she typically goes away for even hours at a time. Like she's gone. I think maybe I'm not sure. Like I actually thought about like, doesn't this woman have a job? Doesn't she have a job? Like I was thinking about that. Like how does she not have a job? Because she's always there. Like she's only gone for like small periods of time. Like, but I think I remember hearing Paul Sheldon say she was gone for 80 hours at a time, which is like a couple days. She's gone for a couple days or maybe one day, and then she comes back. And then there's a time when when he was trying to write a new book because she told him that he has to write another book, The Return, Misery's Return. And then each chapter, at the end of each chapter, you kind of get a snippet of the book that he's writing for Annie. So you get like a glimpse into how his mental state is deteriorating as well. As the story progresses, his mental state is deteriorating more and more and more. Eventually, he finds a knife, and then he hides it underneath his pillow or his bed, and he's planning to kill her. And then Annie finds out, you know how crazy she is? She leaves strands of hair on the floor, and like there's this penguin figurine that's facing north instead of south. He ends up knocking it over when he's walking through because he's on a wheelchair now. He's like super debilitated. He can't physically overpower her because his legs are completely gone. His knees are gone. One of his shoulders is literally in a cast. He only has one arm to fight back against Annie. And this is a fully grown woman that's overweight, fat, pretty powerful. And man, there's so many chapters that I want to talk about. Like, then there's the chapter with let me finish that part. The knife. She notices the knife because she puts him up under. Like, she gives him a needle shot and then he passes it out. And then she comes over and looks over around the room. She found the knife underneath the pillow, not the pillow, but underneath the mattress or somewhere. And then she finds a bunch of pills, the Nycol that he keeps trying to get. And then there's that chapter where it's like super scary. Like you really want to root for Paul to come back into the room where he was in, because Annie's coming back to the house from like the shop or whatever. And he's trying to get back to the bedroom because he left the room. He's not allowed to leave the room. He leaves the rooms because he wants to find something to kill her with. And then she comes back, finds out that he left the room, and then she hobbles him. And she says, you did that to yourself. Every single time that something happens to him that's kind of like bad for him, she says, you did it. You caused this to happen. Like even when the policeman comes over because he's looking for Sheldon, right? He's looking for Paul Sheldon. And then Paul breaks the window, shouts out the window and says, help, it's me, Paul, it's me. And then he shouts, and then Annie kills the guy with a lawnmower or some shit. Every single time, like you see a little bit of light like coming out of the window, like a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and you think that he might get away from her, she kills the person or she just buries everything. And then there's a point when she puts him in the basement. He's no longer sleeping in the bedroom because she doesn't trust him. There's just so many different things happening. Like, she's very smart, very intelligent, but she's crazy. Like, there's multiple times where she's gonna kill him, and then he persuades her not to kill him because he says, I need to finish the book, The Return of Misery. You guys need to read that.